I am pretty confident that I'm not about to jinx this for all of us, but Bryce Young will start for the Carolina Panthers this Sunday against the Broncos, and I think that is good news unless I give him a ton of motivation with this video, because Andy Dalton is out with an injury he sustained in a car accident, which is a real bummer, and you hate to see something like that happen. But I would say Bryce Young starting against the Broncos is an ideal setup for Denver compared to Andy Dalton, who hasn't been great this season, but I mean, he's been better than Bryce Young. Look at the difference between the two of them this season. Bryce Young benched after 2 weeks, and Dalton brought a little bit more juice to the offense, but that juice has pretty much worn off since their lone win of the year in Las Vegas against the Raiders. So Bryce Young gets ready for another road start, and that is not something that he wants to be doing. He is winless in his career on the road. Just 5 touchdowns in 11 games, 8 interceptions, and he is, not a whole lot better at home, but he is definitely better than he is on the road. And on top of that, the Broncos are getting ready for a Panthers team that might not even have their number one wide receiver. Deontay Johnson has been in the trade rumor mill a ton over the last couple of days. DeAndre Hopkins just got traded, which we'll talk about in a moment, to the Chiefs. So maybe we see teams that are hungry for wide receivers kind of get a sense of urgency, like a buy now or there'll be no one for you in a week or two because all the top receivers will have been traded by then. So Bryce Young starting, and they might not even have Deontay Johnson if the trades continue to really pick up steam, because there have been a lot of trades this far away from the November 5th NFL trade deadline. But when you look at the Broncos schedule for a moment, not only are they 4-3 at the moment, but they've got a 1-6 Panthers team coming up. I'm going to softly assume that's a win, but you never quite know in the NFL. And then after that, the Ravens are banged up at the moment. I know Marlon Humphrey suffered an injury, but they are still playing like a really good football team. And then they've got some tough games like the Chiefs and the Falcons. But the Raiders are bad. The Browns are not good. I'll be shocked if that game, by the way, stays for Monday night. I'm sure that the NFL is going to try and flex that out of it. And then they've got the Colts, who I refuse to actually believe in. We're not going to discredit the Chargers after the way they manhandled Denver. And then you round out the year with 2 tough games against the Bengals and the Chiefs. So with that being said, speaking of the Chiefs, what the hell are people thinking? Why does anyone continue to help the Kansas City Chiefs? Can people just, not even the AFC West, but can we just have an intervention with the 31 of the teams in the NFL and go, stop assisting and aiding the Chiefs? They don't need anyone's help. They are very good on their own. Giving them DeAndre Hopkins, I understand Tennessee is trying to get picks and rebuild in the future, yada, 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 whatever. But can we as a community, a football community, just band together, arm in arm, and go, stop making the Chiefs stronger? I don't understand why any GM goes, yeah, 5th round pick's pretty cool, but that means the Chiefs could help, get their 3rd Super Bowl. That'd be great too. I do believe for all 31 other teams, it is in their own best interest for the Chiefs to not win a 3rd straight Super Bowl. It just puts even more pressure on them to be like the golden boy, golden child that is the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I know the Broncos and the Chargers and the Raiders are not going to help the Chiefs at all, but can everyone else stop assisting the Death Star that is Kansas City right now? Speaking of the Chiefs, by the way, they're also beating us in subscribers in the month of October. So if you are not subscribed to the channel and you hate the Kansas City Chiefs, whether you're a Broncos fan or not, I invite you to subscribe. That way we can at least get one victory over Kansas City in the month of October. Now, as for some trade rumors, the Broncos are definitely looking for a tight end, but they may not be looking for the tight end you are hoping for, who we'll talk about later on. However, a new ESPN article came out with a really insightful NFL trade deadline preview for all 32 teams. And for the Broncos, when it came to a trade target, they went with, of course, a former Saints player, or current Saints player, Juwan Johnson, tight end for New Orleans. And here's what Seth Walder from ESPN wrote. Denver has been playing Adam Trautman and Lucas Kroll at tight end, with Greg Dulcich being a healthy scratch the past few games. Johnson, who was in the final year of his contract, would be an upgrade. He has averaged 1.3 yards per route run over the past 3 seasons and had a 65 open score last season in ESPN's receiving scores, 4th best among tight ends. I have no idea what either of those two stats really. What is yards per route run? Is 1.63 good? I don't even. It doesn't sound very good. Like, oh, this guy gets me 1 yard for every route run. I don't. Open score is 65. I swear, ESPN sometimes just invents stats because they want people to come to them for really good analytics. But there's no way to fact check this. Like, how do we even verify what a 65 out of 100? I don't. Majority of stats these days, I feel like, are just there to make you sound really smart. But when it comes to trading for a tight end, whether it's Juwan Johnson or anyone else, it's probably going to come down to price, meaning I don't think Denver is going to be so aggressive or desperate to get a tight end that they would trade a pick away that they feel is probably a little bit more valuable than the player. I mean, we see other teams when it comes to trade deadline get so desperate that they'll probably pay or trade more than they're comfortable, but the other team has them by the balls because they know they are desperate for a move. I don't think desperation is going to force Denver to make a trade they're not comfortable doing. They've got, at the moment, by my count, 6 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. Their 5th rounder is with the Dolphins because of the Bradley Chubb trade, so that's where that is. And they got the 6th rounder from the Albert O trade, but their 7th also goes to the Eagles in the Albert Okwuegbunam trade. But it's been no secret that I have been very outspoken about Denver's tight end room being extremely underwhelming. And listen, the Broncos had the biggest dead cap hit of all 32 teams this year. They could only make so many roster improvements, and there were going to be some spots that got left to the side. And tight end is clearly one of those spots, and they were probably hoping a healthy Dulcich could make more of an impact. Lucas Kroll kind of heated up at the end of last year, and he had some nice grabs in the Saints game. But ultimately, we are halfway through the season just about, and the Broncos tight end room is the worst in the NFL, and it's not even close. Now, I know what some of you are probably already commenting as I'm talking right now because I read the comment section. I see what you guys say, and I know that this entire Broncos country fan base wants to go get David Njoku. I understand that it's a big name, and it's someone who has put up some good numbers over the seasons, and when healthy, he's a yak monster, yards after contact and yards after the catch. He is tough to bring down. He is a leader in the locker room, and he would be a really fun pickup for the Broncos at the trade deadline. At my core, do I think it's going to happen? Ultimately, no. And I think it's just going to come down to price. I think the Browns are not going to move on from Njoku unless they get an offer they can't refuse. And like I said earlier, I don't think Denver is going to be so desperate for a tight end that they would make an offer the Browns can't refuse. So, as fun as this is to dream about for Broncos fans, I would say right now it's still just a bit of a fever dream and probably very far from reality. But if you were in charge, would you trade a 3rd-round draft pick for David Njoku? Yes or no? For me, I would not do it. I do think Njoku, if you acquire him, is more than just a 2024 asset. Like, he's got another year on his contract, maybe even 2 years left on his contract beyond this season. So it would be more of a long-term investment, and he's not even 30 years old yet. He definitely still has a lot of good football days in front of him. But I would say that this is probably not a team that is a David Njoku away from winning multiple playoff games. And if you trade a 3rd-round pick for someone, that should be what you have in mind. Not just making the playoffs, but winning in the playoffs. And I don't think this is going to be the thing that gets Denver quite over the top. I just think they probably need more experience for Bo Nix. And unfortunately, that's only going to come with time. And so I'm going to say no to this idea. Before we get on out of here, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. There's an awesome Broncos hoodie I'm telling you guys about on sale, 25% off at chatsports.com/DEN hoodie. Now, personally, I am nicknamed by my mother Day Late Dollar Short. I tend to put things off when it comes to like purchasing things like that. I was always the person that never had their physical for like your fall or spring sport in high school done until the day before, and I'm sure half of you definitely feel me right now. So if you're in that half, go to chatsports.com/DEN hoodie. Get this awesome Broncos hoodie on sale because the sale's going to end soon, and then you'll be paying full price. Also want to give some quick shout-outs to the Blue and Orange Club, Slap Yourself, I Don't Give a Buck, I Don't Give a Duck, John E., Anthony Mastasis, Bobby Leglocks 92, and Rick Callister. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. We're going to have another watch party this Sunday for Broncos versus Panthers. So if you want to hang out with us and get added to the club to get shout outs for the rest of the season, $100 super chat, and we'll toss your name on screen.